Recording progress.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
That's some words to get used to here this morning.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, well, we'll film it, Sweet Pea, and send it to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I apologize.
Good
I'm
morning.
pretty nervous and I really need all you guys' help and me learning how to do this position efficiently. So excuse my nervousness. I'm open for all the help that I can receive and trying to do this position here.
We got you back, Angel.
Yeah, we're all here to help. You'll be great.
My heart is with the homelessness, but I'm more of a street outreach person, and I'm trying something that I'm trying. Okay.
All right.
So
Angela,
anything- Go ahead, Carla. Well, Angel, the first order of business would be to call the meeting to order.
Okay, so hello, everyone. Calling the meeting to order. This executive board committee meeting. Okay,
and I don't know if we have any minutes from our last meeting. Helen, do you remember?
Wait. I did do them, so let me,
I remember seeing it at one point.
yeah.
This is with the transition. I'm not sure. We all have it. We can always look at we can always do the minutes next month if Angelo and if everybody wants to look at them. We can do the August minutes next month if that's easier.
Yeah, I mean, I had them. I can
Okay.
see they're in the chat now. Anybody can look at them.
So,
okay.
Madam Chair, would you like to approve minutes today? Or would you like to postpone that till next month? So folks have a chance to read it since Angelo is new to the group.
Okay, so since everyone hasn't been able to read the minutes, so yes, we can continue it. If that's the
Okay.
correct way, guys, we can continue it. So Dr. Lopes will be able to read the minutes as well as everyone else.
So is there a motion for that?
Are you asking me?
Yep, you'll need to ask for a motion and a second. You got
Okay.
it.
Uh,
we should-
Colin, Madam
oh my-
Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair and Colin, I'm reading the minutes now, but since I wasn't there, I don't have to vote. So you don't have to omit the minutes. I do have them and I can read them.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody else should have got them via email when they were sent
Yeah.
out.
Then
And I got
it's up to you, Angel. If you would like to take a motion to approve the minutes, you can do so.
Yes. Okay. I'd like to take a motion to approve the minutes.
I will so move.
Anyone second?
I think, Jonathan, that's going to have to be you.
Yes, I second the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
All right.
so it's approved to accept. Is that correct?
And then all in favor
All in favor?
would say aye. And I think you can do a voice vote because there's only two people who can vote on them and they both,
And
There you go.
there you go, done.
do
And
that part.
then, yep, so we opened, we did our minutes. Then you've got two agenda items,
Mhm.
Angel, the agenda planning and the COC HSAC liaisons.
And
And
then
then,
is that it? I see the COC HSAC liaison to the committees and
Mhm.
and I can't read my own writing.
And then are there any other items that committee members would like to add to the agenda for today that need to be addressed?
Yes.
Or staff?
Are there anyone? Any added things that you all would like to add to this?
Okay, we'll keep it as short and sweet as possible so we can all go back to all the other important things we've got to do.
Mhm.
Where would you like to start, Angel? Do you want to start with the agenda?
Okay, yes,
Okay, I can share my screen if you'd like.
yes, please.
Well, let me find it. There we go. Okay. So you'll see this. Make it a little bit larger if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do know we have a state ESG recommendation approval that does need to go on the agenda. We
And
have,
when, this is for next week's meeting, correct, Colin?
this is for the September HSAC meeting, so September 18th, I think, or 24th.
September 15th is the next meeting.
Yes. September 15th.
Okay.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Did it get moved? Why is it so early in the month?
Because we have state ESG application due to the
got it.
state. And we were also at the time when we planned this, thought HUD might have their COC application out
Right.
and do
Okay,
it about
just
the same time.
got it.
So we've got the state recommendation approval. Performance management did an update in August. So it's, whose turn is it? Is it policy and planning or is it exec committee update? I think it's exec committee's turn for an update.
So that would be after the state ESG application?
Well, it doesn't have to go in this order. We're just sort of putting what are the things that need to go on the agenda and then we can order them later.
Okay, cool.
Usually, Angel, the updates are the first thing after you approve the minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
How much time, Lloyd, do you think we'll need on the state ESG recommendations?
Jonathan will be making the recommendations on behalf of the Performance Management Committee. I would say 10 to 15 minutes, depending if there's discussion.
Actually, I'm going to be away for this HSAC meeting. So I cannot actually.
All right, then. I don't know if staff or another designated member of the Performance Management Committee can make the recommendations.
Normally it would be the secretary, but the secretary is not an HSAC member on that committee. It's not Shayna.
Does that matter?
It does in this case because Shayna works for one of the organizations that applied for funds.
Conflict. Okay, gotcha.
But maybe another member of the scoring committee could.
I'm on the
Although-
scoring committee. If nobody else will do it, I will do it.
I think perhaps Chris Tonas or Tracy Stone-Dino also served on the scoring committee. I think Jonathan can appoint a member of the Performance Management Committee to make the recommendations after they're approved at next week's Performance Management meeting.
I will ask for a volunteer next week. I apologize, you all. I made some leave plans before the meeting.
No apology needed.
You get some leeway, Jonathan, after all these years. Been to enough HSAC meetings. Get a break.
Okay, so this will be 15 minutes.
I would recommend longer. It might not take that long, but because we know that this is going to be a decision where not everyone is going to get what they asked for, we might want to give it 20.
That's fine.
The other thing too, as part of this presentation, certain members of HSAC like have that, to have, recommendation and what has been awarded so that folks can have some comparison with this year.
Jonathan, can you repeat what you just said? I couldn't hear you at all.
Okay, my apologies. So some members of the HSAC like to be able to see what has been recommended and approved in the past with this particular funding. And so the presentation should include not only what we're recommending this year, but also, showing what has been done in the past.
That's a good point, Jonathan, and I will be including that in the draft memo for the committee.
Awesome.
Lloyd, Elisa, I guess Jonathan, we should have the city ESG COVID recommendations scored by the 9th as well. Is that, or by the 15th, right?
So I know that I know Elisa has sent out the poll, and I know I have responded. I don't know that we have all settled on a date yet for that to be.
Sorry, so the last committee members voted, I think, like at the end of the day yesterday. So I'm gonna look over it and send out a date today, but it will be sometime towards the end of next week.
Okay, so we'll be able to share what the recommendations are by the 15th.
Yeah.
Okay.
This could be another.
But Reginald doesn't normally like us to present those until they've gone to city council. Or at least they've received the memo. So otherwise the city council members would be getting this via HSAC instead of via city council.
I know, but we've done it both ways before.
Okay.
Let me talk to Reginald. I'll put it in here as a placeholder. That's a good point, Hanalea, because I think we've done it both ways.
Okay, and I wouldn't think it
Given-
would take 15 to 20 minutes if we do it, since they're not voting on it. I would think it would only take 10.
Except the only reason I put, the only reason I'm putting more time in there is because some of it we may have to explain how some of these intersect and overlap, depending on how this all gets scored. But anyway, we'll just put it here as a placeholder. And I'll put a question mark until we find out which way Reginald wants to go with it, because you are right. Sometimes there have been times where city council hasn't wanted to do this, but we've used the HSAC as part of our citizen participation plan for these ESG funds in the past. That's where it gets tricky. But we'll see. Anyway, exec committee update.
I also have an item.
Sure.
We've done a lot of work with the policy and planning committee on evaluation and changes to a coordinated entry. And I think I'm probably due a coordinated entry update presentation to HSAC. And
This would be
I think
after,
ideally I would have 20 minutes for that. We could either, I mean, if there's already a policy and planning update, I mean, I could either do it with you, or I could just do a separate presentation. But I do think it needs to be like a formal presentation that I give, because there's just so much that we haven't updated the HSAC on in a long time.
policy and planning does their update in October. So are you suggesting doing the coordinated entry update?
No, I was confused about who was being updated. This would just be a separate presentation.
Okay. Thoughts? And I know, Sharita, the coordinated entry work update is on the policy and planning agenda for the September policy and planning meeting. But exec committee thoughts?
I think that can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Hanalea, what if policy and planning has feedback that requires you to make some changes? Would we just be getting that new information in that meeting, or you would just be giving an update and saying what your next steps are?
Yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be a much higher level presentation, Sharita, than the one I'm going to give to policy and planning. I just want to give them like kind of like broad strokes over what we've done over the last 6 months, like all of the racial equity analysis stuff that we did, and then like the broad plan to move away from the VI SPDAT. Just they haven't been updated on any of that, so I thought it would be good to give them like a high level update.
Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna try to keep my phone on my speaker. I'm home with a sick baby, and we got to go COVID test today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just positive energies for the best outcome, please.
Yeah.
This is her third one, so I'm sorry.
Oh, poor kid.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay,
Colin,
other agenda items.
are you gonna do the approval of the minutes before the state ESG recommendation approval?
Yes, sir.
Actually, one thing that I did just think about is Lloyd has asked me for a written annual evaluation summarizing all the work that we've done to evaluate and update coordinated entry over the last year. That will be done by the end of September. And so then, I mean, I could wait until October to do it because then I'll be able to send the written annual evaluation. So I could wait till then if there is time in the October meeting. I know we'll probably have COC stuff in the October meeting. It's really up to y'all.
How does everyone feel about that?
I'm sorry, could you all repeat that again? My audio blanked on the suggestion.
Sure, Jonathan. I was just saying that I was thinking about it more, and because of the state ESG application, Lloyd has asked me to write up a summary of all the evaluations that we've done over the past year that'll serve as the annual evaluation for the state ESG application. So I could wait until October to give the presentation because then I'd be able to send out the written, I mean, it's going to be the same content. It's just, I don't have a written paper done yet. So if y'all wanted to wait until I have the written annual evaluation, then I could wait to present until October, depending on what's on the October agenda, or I could just go ahead and do it now if y'all don't feel like having the written annual evaluation completed is as important.
Can I add my opinion?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hanalea, I think in the past it's been better when we've had some kind of written document so that you can just either expound or give very general information and people have the additional content, so they can ask more pointed, like direct questions. So you don't have to like do a follow-up report or something because somebody asked some question we weren't prepared for. So I think waiting for that summary to be together and holding it off to October would be a better idea.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think, and I'm sorry, Hanalea, I think you and I both unmuted at the same time. I think folks do find it easier to ask questions if they have, even if it's just a one-page summary ahead of time.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. And y'all are right. Often people do ask very specific questions and then I have to go get data for them. So I'm in favor of not having to do that. So yeah, if we have time in the October meeting, why don't we plan it for October and then I can send out that report ahead of time.
So do you want to move?
I think you're moving the wrong thing, Colin.
What do you want me? Oh yeah, sorry. moving this one, policy and planning work.
Mhm.
The policy and planning update is that month too, right?
It
So
is,
I
but then
think that makes.
yeah. And then this would actually be called coordinated entry annual evaluation, because at that point, it'll be a presentation of the annual evaluation.
Right.
Okay.
This is the annual evaluation.
Yep.
Okay. So it looks like we've got a really, really short September meeting. Unless there's other things that need to go in here, and I don't know that we need
we need to
to
approve-
artificially inflame.
We need to approve new members to policy and planning and performance management. There's only one of each.
So I guess, so that means that the new members can't join the subcommittee meetings yet until they're approved in September, right?
I mean, they can attend, they just can't vote.
Can't vote. Okay.
Is it about 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
5. There's only Drew Cummings and Shay Kennard. And I mean, if anybody else wants to join at the time, I don't know.
Does that give us enough, Ruby, for what the committee needs?
I mean, are we losing anybody?
We're not losing any.
I'm losing people in policy and planning. I'm losing 3 people.
You're losing COC. You're losing COC liaison.
Okay.
Yeah, I just was wondering whether we have enough at that point, members to have the 3 COC liaisons. I didn't know.
I mean, policy and planning is adding a member.
Are the current HSAC members continuing on these committees? The members that are
Collins.
currently on them?
Yes. Colin, we'll appoint the COC liaisons in October.
Well, that sort of begs the question for performance management, because of course, Angel is now chair. So I don't know, if you are able and wish to continue being on performance management. And of course, we also have Dr. Birch, who has now become our secretary, which is wonderful. So I don't know if that's, feasible for both of you all to stay on. Of course, would love that if you could. We are also losing 2 liaisons as well.
Well, as far as the COC liaisons right now, we're recruiting for those. We don't have anyone yet other than Shayna, who put in a bid to be on policy and planning, but I don't think she's eligible since she's already been COC liaison and she can't serve a consecutive term. So we just put out the call yesterday for a COC liaison. So we'll have to wait until we can get some recruitment for those. As far as HSAC members that are on the committees, that's where we need either more people but we only have Drew Cummings for policy and planning and Shay Kennard for performance management.
I guess I was thinking, Ruby, that performance management had already lost some members. I thought, because they had some members rotate off. Am I misremembering? Like, did they lose some members over the last year?
Give me a sec, let me check. They do have less than policy and planning though, regardless.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that, I mean, worst case scenario, they can have 3 COC liaisons, but it would be nice for them to have all 3. And while Ruby's doing that, I can just suggest some things that I could give updates on if there is an interest. I could give an update on vouchers. I gave one a while ago about our utilization of the vouchers. So that might be something. And then the plan for the emergency housing vouchers is also something I could give an update on if there was an interest in it. I don't know if there's an interest, but that's something I could update on if we have time and people want to hear about it.
Does everyone in agreement that it is of the urgency to have an update on the ERAs? On an emergency rental assistant thing?
Oh, that's a good point, Angel.
A lot of,
That
yeah, a
would be
lot
very
of people
helpful.
to the courtroom and it's packed in here. I've
Yeah,
been
well,
open
maybe we
out
could
here.
ask legal aid to also come in and talk about what they're seeing about evictions. That might be really interesting to the committee.
Yes. And just to see where the tenants are as far as where their applications are, because some of them had to get them done over and it's been a big it's been a big headache is trying to get the applications filled. So they do have a room up here at the court where Ashley is, and when they leave out of court they go in there to see where exactly they're at as far as continuing the applications to keep them from getting evicted on that same day.
If I'm
So
not
that we
mistaken,
to have someone from legal aid in there to speak on what they're doing. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Jonathan?
that's okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump in. I thought you were done. If I'm not mistaken, the U.S. Supreme Court just overturned Biden's efforts to extend the moratorium, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
So that obviously will have some pretty serious implications then.
Yes.
What meeting was it that Janine presented about ERAP? Was it policy and planning?
What one was that?
Was she's on
I
performance
wasn't there, but I'm
management.
pretty sure it was full HSAC. I think it was one of the full HSAC meetings I missed.
Okay.
Was
Well,
it on the exec meeting? Did she spoke? I can't remember.
She did. I'd have to go back and look, but I think she did do a full HSAC.
Yeah.
but this was recently, like in the last month or so.
I'm trying to see on some meeting that she was.
I think.
I was on.
So let's.
Yeah, it was, her last official presentation was in March 2021, but she recently was discussing it in a meeting about what they're actually dealing with landlords.
Was it with HSAC? Was it a HSAC meeting or?
I feel like it was a policy and planning or performance management meeting.
So you want to invite her in to give an update to where it is as it stands since the moratorium is over and where they're at as far as getting the funds to the landlords and the tenants?
If that's something that leadership wants to do. And by leadership, I mean city and
Oh, okay.
county people.
So, question to think about. Because we know statistically, not every eviction leads to homelessness.
Right.
So I guess the question is, do we want to do an update? The eviction moratorium just ended. We really don't know what impact this is going to have on our homeless system until some of the actual evictions start happening and we sort of are able to sort of see where, are we seeing 100 new people entering our homeless system a month, for instance, due to eviction? Would it make more sense to put this in where we're actually able to say, okay, the eviction moratorium ended, ERAP is doing this, and
Right.
the homeless system is being impacted this way? At this
Right.
point,
Yeah, I was
are
just
we?
talking to a landlord about this,
Mhm.
and he was saying that he thinks they're all going to hit in 2 months because when people took the money, they agreed not to evict for 2 months. So we might be able to ask Peter Skiller in advance to come in, and what would that be, the December meeting?
Well, because I think even once those evictions hit, it's going to take some time for us to figure out whether or not how many of these evictions lead to literal homelessness. And I want to check with Melva, because she manages the legal aid contract, and in the contract with legal aid for eviction diversion, we had asked for some data points on how many referrals legal aid, like for the cases legal aid lost and the client was evicted, we were trying to collect some data to find out how many of these was legal aid having to say, please call coordinated entry for assistance because you've got nowhere to go. And let me see if I can find that data on sort of what they've been seeing, but having some data of what referrals and sort of what is the impact of the evictions. What we don't want to do is create a panic of our system's going to be overfloated, everybody's going to be homeless, the sky is falling, when the only thing we have that we can compare this to is the foreclosure crisis we had back in 2009. And there was a big panic about the homeless system being overflooded with renters and homeowners becoming homeless. And did we see an uptick? Yes. Was it a giant spike? Not really. But let's try and make sure that we don't accidentally trigger alarm bells all over the place if we don't need to. Like creating an artificial panic doesn't sound like a good idea. Just thought. It's up to the committee.
Yeah, I guess my thinking was more like, regardless of whether or not people hit the homeless system, that evictions are a topic that are going to be of interest to the committee and of concern.
Yeah.
But we certainly could bring data along with it. And if we thought we were going to do a presentation in December, that would give us enough time. But yeah, certainly not implying that all of those evictions would hit the homeless system.
Right. And see, they have eviction court has really started, like it's a lot. It wasn't that many cases Monday through Thursday, but it's a rack of cases up there now in the eviction court. And what the magistrate is doing is the ones that are already signed up for ERAP and is waiting for, to see what yay or nay and when they're going to send the money out. So they go to D4 and speak with Ashley from DSS to see exactly where their case is, and where's the processing is taking place. And then if it is the eviction, they were sent down on the first floor. I didn't stay in that. I had to come out here. So I'm just trying to hear there and try to share with you all here with the stuff that's going on as far as the eviction court here at the courthouse.
So maybe
the other thing I can pull is data on the entry point data. Whenever we do have them come present, I can pull data on what we're seeing in entry point in terms of the numbers. So that's another data point that's available.
Why don't we do maybe we do this two ways, or two presentations. One presentation can be sort of now on here are the services available for people facing eviction, and DSS can sort of bring the information of you can come to DSS. There's also 5 nonprofits, I believe, in the community that are also helping to process paperwork and help this. So make it an informational presentation on how, people who are on the committee who are getting calls or run into this know who and where and how to refer people. For this month, just a very short, here's what we got. Here's how much money's available. We're trying to move it as quickly as possible. Here's some timelines. Then in that December or January timeframe, when we start seeing some of these things hitting, we start seeing things moving, we sort of track some data, we try and track down data, and we take a look at it on the staff side. you know, between now and December, and if we start seeing something funny, we can always bring it up sooner. But we can plan a more comprehensive, what did the end of the eviction moratorium, what impact did it have on the homeless system at a later date? So we try and, right now, what can we do to help remind people of where to send people if needed? And, you know, maybe those 5 nonprofits in the community that are helping, I don't know if it's worth having each one of them share what they're seeing on their end. That could be an option as well. So it's not always just DSS talking.
Yeah,
Question.
so you want to reach out, Colin, to some of them that are on the list that are, that they have for the help?
I can do that. I mean, it really comes down to the committee. I'm just throwing out a way of trying to bridge the need of knowledge and connection and helping to make connections for people who need it now with the, what impact did we see in the homeless system as we try and track it on the go forward basis. It's really up to the committee. If the committee would like to have a presentation by DSS and or some or all of the providers, we have time, and we could sort of give each one a few minutes to sort of share what they're doing and, you know, challenges that they're seeing.
Does
Janine
everyone,
probably-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Janine probably won't be at this meeting. It's the third Wednesday.
But yeah, I have a list of the 5 that are on here. I know Adana is with the community, the CEF funds. I'm quite sure she wouldn't mind speaking. You just said DSS that Janine wouldn't be able to come in and speak, Ruby?
Yeah, she has a standing mandatory leadership meeting at DSS.
Would somebody be able to speak that is a representative of DSS instead of her, or?
I don't know their structure. Maybe, well, not with that.
It would
I'll
be
ask.
Lee, wouldn't it, over that program? But
Could be Lee,
or-
it could be Contessa, it could be
Lee.
a couple of people. I'll ask Janine.
Okay. And would have asked Peter from Legal Aid?
I think what we could do, do you want to, well, one, we could, if DSS is able to present, do you want them to present? Let's answer that question first.
Yes, most definitely, because they're the ones that are handling the ERAP.
Okay, then in addition to DSS, do we want to invite the nonprofit partner agencies to come and talk about what they're seeing, which I don't know all of them off the top of my head. I believe there's CEF, CARE, and forget the name, there's a Latin group.
Yes, the Church World Services.
Church World
is,
Services, Legal Aid, maybe?
Yeah, Legal Aid. Any suggestions?
So how much time do we have for all of this together? So we know how much time we can give each individual group?
Well, that's what we just need to figure out. I mean, we could do 30 or 45 minutes if we needed to, because we've got, you know, basically 5, 10, 30. We only have about 45 minutes of a meeting, maybe an hour.
So you could give each.
So it wouldn't be hard to do.
Would you give
You
each
could
person?
do, you know, 5
to 10 minutes?
It'd probably be closer to like 2 to 3 minutes that there's time for questions.
Okay.
Wait, how do you get to that, Colin? If we have 45 minutes left in the meeting?
Well, if you've got 5.
sorry.
If we've got 5 groups presenting and each of them took
Well-
5 minutes, then that would be 25 with 20 for questions.
But if DSS would make 6, and I don't know if DSS would have, my thought DSS, since they're the sort of parent organization and have a lot more, not a lot more data, but other things to cover, they may have a longer presentation. But if we did 5 minutes per, then you'd be at half an hour for 6. And there
With 15 for questions.
could be. So that's what I was just trying to figure out, like, if I didn't know how much time DSS would need if they're able to present. If they're not able to present, then we could do the 5 organizations presenting what they're seeing. And not have DSS present and do 5 minutes for each of them, which would leave probably 20 minutes for questions and discussion.
Yeah, I guess my thought is just like, for me, asking someone to come and talk for less than 5 minutes feels like not really enough time for them. I mean, maybe they'll take less than 5, but it's nice to give people at least 5 minutes.
Disagree. I'm just looking at, what we have on the agenda now, that we could easily carve out 30 to 45 minutes and possibly more, depending on the ESG COVID recommendations and how we want to play that. If we don't have to do a whole lot on that, and if that can be a pretty short presentation. So I'll put
And we could save all the questions, like we could have all the presentations and then have questions all at once, so that we're not having questions for each group, which will save time.
Would it help if the questions were put in the chat?
Okay, so I think let's see what DSS does. I'll reach out to Janine, reach out to the 5 nonprofits, see who wants to come. All right, Janine says they can do it, but it might not be her because she has a DSS board meeting. Okay. All right, so would you all like me to reach out to the nonprofits and DSS and invite them to the meeting for 5 minutes updates?
I was gonna just suggest that maybe you offer the option of them submitting a summary, either coming or submitting a video. I mean, we're using Zoom anyway, like a video of them just giving an update. And then if somebody, that way we get a response from everybody in some way, shape, or form. Just my suggestion. And then if there are questions that we have subsequently, then we can send those questions to each of the folks, and then they can respond in an email that goes out to HSAC. That's my suggestion. Make it easy just so we can get the update.
Sure, I can do that.
Sounds good. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you, Sharita. I guess it gives everyone a time, to respond and speak, all 5 of them.
Yep.
There's some comments in the chat box. Alicia Thompson said she'd like to join performance management and policy and planning if she's permitted to do both. And Elisa said she thinks we can do ESGCV in about 5 minutes or less. If we can't announce decisions yet, I can prep an email update for everyone when we are ready to announce them.
Yep.
I would also add, I think I was doing a push for policy and planning to make a decision for a recommendation to HSAC regarding the 200 block and 500 block. Then I'm hoping that we will be able to do that in the September meeting.
We're gonna have to reduce something because we're already at 95 minutes.
I'm just afraid if policy and planning doesn't make a recommendation, it's going to be more difficult to do it the next go around, because we're going to have new people and we're going to have to try to play catch up if they are not up to speed on all the things that are going on. So I was trying to push the committee to make a recommendation decision in this meeting on the 13th, Monday the 13th. So.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
With all of this, are we, and I might be off the map, but with everything that will be going on, are we also looking at, say for instance, mental health problems that will arise during this? And this may not fall within our daily way. I know what I'm trying to ask. It's just not coming out the way I want it. But will there be anyone that will be able to speak to, situations that come up at mental, like behavioral? Because there are going to be people that may be falling into the homeless population that have never done so before. And, what kind of help will there be?
If I understand, Angela, you're asking about what options are available for the mental health needs as people are facing eviction, maybe for the first time in their lives, that may end up in the homeless system.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think that's a good point. Maybe that would probably be best handled by maybe Alliance
Okay.
doing some sort of a presentation, and maybe invite them to do something in October about mental health resources.
And
And it's
I'm
just off the
sorry
top
if
of my
I
head.
took, yeah, I'm sorry if I kind of went off the map on that, but I was just thinking, and, personally, you know, I thought of suicide more times than not. The first time I ever had to deal with that, and there was just, no one to turn to.
Mhm.
Right.
And people say, "Oh, he's a preacher," Yeah, that sometimes is the barrier because of who we think we are. And people that have never had to go through that, they go into these agencies, maybe, you have people that don't even know where social services is. They're going to be finding themselves in situations now. I'm done.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Because it's a lot of mental health out here already as far as the homeless is, and that's not being addressed. Like yesterday, I ran into one of the clients. I hadn't seen him in a while, and he had said he had just gotten out of jail, and he still has not been able to have his issues addressed as far as him helping. He's still homeless in the street. So I understand, doctor, what you're saying as far as the new people who are just experiencing it for the first time, and it is a mental stress. Remember when I went through it, it was mentally disturbing, and it wasn't really anyone per se to, reach out for that. So thank you for that information.
All right, so it looks like we've got a pretty full agenda. And it sounds like we've got Alicia would like to join the two let's see. So Alicia would like to join the performance management and policy planning. Okay. All right, anything else on agenda? Otherwise, we can move on to the next agenda item. Madam Chair.
You're muted, Angel.
Oh, I'm sorry. There I go. Okay. I'm hitting buttons. I'm sorry, Colin, what did you say now? I just got thrown off all the
I
way.
think we've got a pretty full agenda. And we've got appointments. I guess the exec committee needs to approve or recommend Alicia to join policy and planning, performance management, and the other, and I guess you said Drew and who, Ruby? Oh, Shay.
Drew Cummings to policy and planning and Shay Kennard to performance management.
So we need to approve them.
I have a question, because I was on Jonathan's, I'm on policy and planning with you, correct?
You mean performance management?
Performance management, policy and planning with Sharita. So being that now that I'm the chair, can I still participate in that, or no, I don't, how does this work, Colin?
You can stay on both those committees if you'd like. It's up to you.
Yeah, because I think I've been with you guys for a minute now. I think since at least 3 years, I believe. It's been that long, Jonathan?
Well, I've only been on it for a year because I joined out my chair year. But we'd love to still have you. I think you've been longer than I have. So absolutely.
Yeah, you took over for a guy from Hillside, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Okay.
Xavier. Yeah, Angel, I think you've been on it for 2 years. So basically, since the committee was created, you've been on it.
Okay, thank you. I did want to stay with it.
Just to circle back around to the question about members on the committees, we aren't losing any HSAC members. We're just losing COC liaisons. No one's up for term limits or anything like that, or there's any vacancies. So just adding new people would change the number of COC liaisons that are needed.
So how many members, once these new people are added, will performance management have?
If we add 2 to what is this, performance management, that'll be Jonathan, Dr. Birch, Chris Tones, Janine Gordon, Angel Vick Lewis, Tracy Stone Dino. That'll be 8 added to performance management.
They'll have 8 total?
8 HSAC members.
Alicia wanted to join too, correct?
So I'm including, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. As long as Dr. Birch wants to stay on performance management, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 HSAC members right now. We add 2, Shay Kennard and Alicia, that'll make it 8 HSAC members.
So 8 isn't enough for them to have 3 COC liaisons because they have to have, it can't be more than 30%, and that's they need at least 9 to be able to have the 3 members. So we need to find one more.
It's like pulling teeth. So
And I plan on staying on the committee.
I thought that, Hanalea, I thought the COC liaisons can be no more than 33%. Are we talking about 8 members total or 8 members from the HSAC?
So that you're right, Lloyd. They can be no more than 30%. So they need one more member. They would need 9 to be able to. Or wait, am I doing that math wrong?
So if 6 members from the HSAC on each committee, there can be 3 COC liaisons for a total of 9 total members
You're right,
on the
Lloyd.
committee.
You're right. I forgot that you have to add them into the total to do that. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Okay.
So there'll be 8 members.
Yeah, Lloyd is right. We'd be fine.
Okay.
So it's 8, not 9?
If you have 6 HSAC members on each committee, you can have 3 COC liaisons.
Yeah, I was doing a third of the HSAC members instead of a third of the total members. So Lloyd, your math is correct.
That's not 1/3 of the total number. 1/3 of the total number of 6 is 2.
I was doing that way too, Sharita, but Lloyd pointed out that you have to add in the COC liaisons as well, and then see if they're a total. So if we have eight
But you still-
exec members and 3 COC liaisons, that's 11, and so we'd be fine with 3 members.
Okay.
So for performance management, I'm sorry, policy and planning, Sarita, Commissioner Carter, Janine Gordon, Colleen Herbert, Mayor Schul, Ebony Thomas, Captain Helen Tripp, and Angel Vic Lewis makes 8, with the addition of Drew Cummings and Alicia would make 10 HSAC members.
But Mayor Schul needs to be formally pulled off of this new appointment because he has never once attended a meeting. He said he wanted to attend it in error. We would pull him off.
Okay, I'll just delete him from there. So there's 9. So there will be 9 HSAC members on policy and planning.
So with
And then-
nine HSAC members on policy and planning, they could have 4 COC liaisons. Because if they have 13 members, the COC liaisons are less than 1/3 of the membership.
Well, I put out the call yesterday. Like I said, the only folks I had that wanted to be COC liaisons was Shayna, but she's not eligible. So I'll still wait. I gave them until September 15th. And at the October meeting, we can appoint COC liaisons.
I'll put a plug in for it in some of my meetings for those who may not like see those types of emails. I can mention it.
Could Shayna, since she was on policy planning, could she join performance management or?
No, they can't serve consecutive terms as COC liaisons.
Even if they switch committees?
They can't serve consecutive terms as COC liaisons, period.
Yeah, that's what she was thinking. She could switch to policy and planning, but that's not possible.
Is that
It's in the governance charter.
really?
Yeah. I mean, the committee could change it, but that's currently in the governance charter. The thinking at the time was trying to create as much like opportunity as possible.
Yeah, but the other issue that it creates is if nobody is jumping at the bit to be there, then it's our ability to have community involvement on the committees. So I would propose we add a caveat, like say that they can't serve on the same committee for the terms, and only in the event when we've exhausted all options, if that person is, if somebody who's been on the previous committee is willing to serve, and we don't have any other, people interested, that we could consider them.
Yeah, I think that's super reasonable. It would just require a HSAC vote to make that change. That might be something to look at in the October meeting since the September meeting is super full. But I could bring some wording to y'all for the October exec committee meeting to look at to recommend to the HSAC.
So I have a question, because it's supposed to be required for the members on the HSAC to be on a subcommittee, correct?
I'd have to look back at the wording, but I don't think we actually ended up making it required. It was something we discussed, but I don't think it ended up in the final language.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, if that was the case, we need to try to get people who haven't participated to try to participate.
On that point, I think we've struggled at the HSAC level of figuring out a way to exempt elected officials from that requirement, and potentially as well representatives of the city manager and the county manager's office. I think there's been a recognition that probably at least the elected officials should not be required to serve on a committee, although we're grateful that Commissioner Carter is serving on one of the committees.
So is that because of their hectic schedules? Or I'm just trying to get clarity
Yes.
on that, because I think that we need elected officials to be at some of these tables so they kind of learn what we need, so that when they are making decisions and plans and they're behind their closed doors, they can be advocating for those things because they understand it better. So if they are not participating, how do we ever get to that point where we don't have to push so much? And Colin, I'm actually sending you a message, typing a message in the chat, because I feel like, and this might be going off tangent, but I think it needs to be said. I think as an HSAC, sometimes the notion of having all these elected officials or staff sometimes makes it difficult for us to advocate in a way that I feel like is effective. I feel like that is lacking. Our folks don't have visibility from them or representation for them to be able to stand up and talk about and push some of these issues about what they need. And it just keeps weighing on my heart. And we have to do something, because, even when we talk about some things in some of these meetings with you guys are limited because you're employees. So how do we get to that next place where we are out here visible in the community, being able to make the requests that we need from the people who need it? We got to do something. I don't know if that's an additional subcommittee of the HSAC, that's an advocacy wing or something, but we got to get out of this silo. I think that with HSAC, we play nice, we play the game, but we often get ignored. And I think that we need to figure out a way how we motivate our clients to stand up and ask and demand their rights, just like any of these other groups in our community that don't have a problem with standing up and fighting for what they need. So I think that's something that we just need to talk about as an HSAC as a whole. And I don't know where that goes, but we can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this because we're not making the progress. The goals are the same. We're having, very tough victories when we get them. And we got 40 people right now out in the community with vouchers and can't find a landlord. And we got new refugees coming into our community, and people are willing to give them places to stay. Why? What in the world is this? What message is this? Durham is welcome for everybody but the people who live here. So it's just something that we have to do. I just had to say it. And I'm gonna go on mute.
You raise a good point, Sharita, and some of the things you're bringing up go back to the interlocal and governance. And those are things that are on the radar that need to be revisited. Reginald and I were just talking about this the other day, but it goes back to a capacity issue right now, that we just don't have capacity to get into the interlocal adjustments that you're suggesting and those kinds of discussions due to all these other things that are hitting us due to COVID. But it is on the radar of something that we do need to look at and sort of figure out what are the requirements of HUD for the HSAC, and what do we as a community want for the HSAC, and what does that interlocal agreement that governs us, what does that need to look like? What does the governance document need to look like? And how do we sort of make the adjustments to do what you're saying? With that said, I've got to jump off.
I would like
Go
to
ahead,
just
Anna.
clarify something. The language for the interlocal is already drafted and has been approved by this committee. So if that's something that this group is passionate about, I would argue that there is capacity to do that, because this committee has already, it's literally just sitting in my computer waiting for the go ahead. So, this group already spent extensive time reviewing language and looking at that and looking at HUD requirements. All of that work has already been done. I don't know if that's something that this committee feels like they want to pick up, but if if at some point y'all do, I am ready to go on that. I have all that work done and waiting for the move forward. So just a clarification on that.
Capacity issue that I worry about, yes, we do have that in a draft document. There's a lot more conversation that needs to happen before it can go other places. And that's the place that we're running, that we have a capacity issue, but we can sort that out. I need to jump on an EOC call. So if you all want to finish up, I can get caught up later. I appreciate everything you're doing. Great job, Angel.
Okay, thank you.
Keep
Trying,
up the good work. Thank you all.
thank you.
Hey, Miss Angel, since we've completed the agenda planning, and on the agenda, there's also COC and HSAC liaisons to committees. We've kind of discussed that as part of that conversation. Is there
Yes.
anything else that you want to discuss or add to?
No, it's not.
The other thing that I was going to bring up, because when Alicia was chair, Colin also has his 11 o'clock meeting. The executive committee had changed the meeting time for this from 10 to 11, so it'd only be a 1 hour meeting. Is that something that we want to stay with, or we want to move it to an hour and a half?
How does the board feel about that? I mean, it's all right with me. I mean, is there enough time allotted to get everything onto the table for the discussion for the next meetings?
What I would say is that this time of the year, I think it's harder. When we start getting to August, September, October is when a lot of the funding issues and things like that come up. And then also we're doing the transitions at the same time. I don't know if we can modify the meetings that happen August, September, October to maybe longer. But I think that in the past, we've been able, if we don't have that kind of heaviness like what we have right now, I think we've been able to get it done in an hour.
Okay, so we can keep it at an hour for now.
That's
And
fine.
adjust as needed. I will still keep it as an hour and a half on my schedule, just in case. So if we leave early, we just have that room to grow. Yeah.
Okay.
So if anyone else has anything, or doesn't have anything, if you have any questions for staff, please reach out to us. Dr. Birch, I'll get with you later. And Miss Angel, if we don't have anything else to discuss, you can make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to adjourn my very first executive meeting. I made it through. Thank you, you all, and practice is gonna make perfect. I'm just kind of nervous at this, but thank you. Meeting is moved for it to be adjourned.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you.
I guess we're all in favor. All right. All right.
Angela, don't worry about it.
Baby, Sharita.
Great.
Okay, bye, y'all.
I think Angela was saying something, Dr. Birch.
Angela,
Yes.
Angela, don't worry about it. I have seen pastors that have done it for years, and they'll get in a meeting and forget everything about Robert's Rules of Order and everything else. So you're doing well. You're doing
I'm
well.
trying. I'm trying. I'm gonna try.
That's all we can do is try. If
Thank
we
you
were
all.
perfect, I wouldn't even have a job.
Well, let me get back up here. These folks up here in the courtroom. So thank you. And
Take care.
y'all have a
Sharita,
safe
we're praying for
weekend.
your baby.
Yes, Sharita.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.